After losing home court advantage in Game 1, the Nuggets had an opportunity to bounce back in Game 2 against a Wolves team that didn't have Gobert. Except they played even worse, losing by 26 points in an offensive disaster, meaning that they now faced an 0-2 deficit heading to Minnesota. Backs against the wall, season on the line, they made some slight tweaks to their offense that changed everything. In Game 2, Jamal really struggled to deal with Minnesota's ball pressure. I'm sure we all saw this possession where he was hounded by Alexander Walker from 94 feet out, only to bring it across the line and get trapped by McDaniels. But even in the half court, he couldn't find an inch of breathing room when setting up action, which forced him into a ton of bad decisions. So one of the keys in Game 3 was to make sure they got the ball into the front court cleanly. One way they did that was by playing fast whenever they could. Here, Jamal just charges down the lane for easy points, or they would have someone else bring it up, such as Christian Braun, and then Jamal would start the offense from there. These two things could work together, Jokic bringing the ball up quickly while Jamal screens, and that leaves the big man with a ton of room to attack downhill. With that said, while ball pressure was a big problem of theirs, I don't at all think it was the problem. The biggest issue was their inability to create anything in the half court, and one thing about their approach stood out to me. When they get into their two-man game, Jokic is setting the screen for Jamal to attack the middle of the floor, which brings an extra helper into the play and really clogs up the lane. And they did this time and time again, at one point even using KCP as a second screener to create some separation. But with aggressive help in the middle, Jamal picks up his dribble early, then ends up turning it over on a pass. Now look at the difference when they instead flip the action, emptying the corner so that Jamal can come off a screen into open space. All of a sudden, it's a bit easier. So in my video on Game 2, I said that I thought the biggest adjustment for Denver's offense moving forward should be to continue running action towards an empty corner instead of towards the middle, creating more space and allowing Jamal to catch more of a rhythm, and that's exactly what we saw in Game 3. They opened with it on the very first play. Jamal forces Cat to the ball, but the Wolves don't want to switch, so he draws two, which puts the defense in rotation and results in Porter Jr. getting a really clean look, although the shot doesn't drop. Jokic grabs a second chance, and they move the ball back out to the perimeter to reset the possession. Then it's the exact same empty corner attack except with KCP, and he pulls up for a jumper that lands. And they run it again on the next play. KCP one pass away up top, Porter on the opposite wing, Jokic angling the screen baseline. This time Jamal rejects it and drives right down the middle of the lane for a layup. By stacking one side of the floor like this, the amount of space he has to work with is just absurd. When Jamal turns the corner, he has 50% of the half court to work with, no extra helpers, and to stop him from getting to the rim, Ant has to foul. On this one, you can see Gordon clear out to the right block while two shooters are already spotted up, and once again he has an entire side of the floor to work with as he gets to a pull-up jumper. By taking that extra help in the middle out of the play, it forces the defense to make really tough decisions. If you want to play the pick and roll straight up, that big better be able to contain Jamal off the dribble or he'll work his way to the basket. If you want to put two on the ball, that shot blocker from the weak side has to step over early or Jokic will step into one of his automatic floaters. Not too early though, because right off the catch he'll make that quick extra pass out of the short roll. It wasn't just the two-man game that they took advantage of an empty corner with. There's also Jokic's post-ups, where it's really difficult to bring help without overcommitting because he's operating in so much open space. Like here, he's one-on-one with Kyle Anderson, Alexander Walker doubles from one pass away, and now the entire defense is in rotation. The ball starts moving, everyone's involved, and this is where the Nuggets are truly at their best. Or how about this one where he's backing down Reed, Ant comes over to double, and he hits Jamal up top so that they can set up the pick and roll. Minnesota defends it well, but Jamal hits a really tough shot, and that's the thing. Once he catches that rhythm after operating in space all night long, he starts to heat up, and this is the difficult shot making that absolutely torched the 2023 playoffs. Over the first two games of this series, he scored a total of 25 points while shooting 28% from the field. Not exactly ideal, but in Game 3, he scored 24 on over 52% shooting, a stark difference in performance, which also starts to elevate everyone around him. Aaron Gordon caught fire, knocking down 3 3-pointers in a span of just a few minutes, and that goes for the entire team. They shot 48% from 3, had 5 guys in double figures. When the well-oiled machine starts to get everyone involved, good things start to happen. Here's a look at their offensive rating by game over the entire playoffs. They started off hot, but since then have been pretty consistently below their typical average, and in Game 2 against the Wolves, it was a complete disaster. But in Game 3, now we're talking about the unstoppable force that took the league by storm. I'm not quite sure what to expect in Game 4, but it's crazy to think that just one simple adjustment, attacking an empty corner instead of the middle, completely changed the dynamic of their offense and ultimately the game as a whole. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out my website and social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you thought of this game. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.